During this month of July, the clergy are using this opportunity that we have surrounding us in this church, our gorgeous windows, as a way of, I guess, using them as a teaching tool, as a way perhaps of opening all of our eyes to see something new, not just in the beauty of how they were constructed and the marvel of how they came to be, but also in the stories that they are telling us from Scripture. This morning, I've been asked to comment or to gear my comments toward the window that is right over there. It is a window that depicts the adoration of the Magi. I think many of you can see it, have a pretty good view, but it would be perfectly all right if folks wanted to move around during the sermon and work your way over there and take a look if you do not have a view of it. I hope that's okay with the rector, that I suggest that folks can do that. It certainly wouldn't bother me to have you moving. In his opera, Amal and the Night Visitors, Giancarlo Menotti tells the story of a disabled boy and his mother who live in poverty in first century Palestine. An online synopsis describes the starry night when they receive a visit from three splendidly dressed kings who are on their way to present gifts to a wondrous child. And they want to stop and rest there in the humble abode that belongs to the mother and son. As the mother goes outside to fetch firewood while the resting is taking place, Amal speaks with the kings. He tells Balthazar that he was once a shepherd, but his mother had to sell the sheep, leaving them beggars. Caspar, another king who is childlike, eccentric, and a bit deaf, unpacks his precious box of small oddities. The mother returns and asks Amal to fetch the neighbors so that the kings may be fed and entertained by their joyful chorus. Once the neighbors leave and the kings are resting, in fact asleep, the mother attempts to steal for her son some of the gold meant for the Christ child. But she is thwarted by the king's page. When Amal wakes to find the page grabbing his mother, he attacks him. Melchior, understanding the woman's motives for the attempted theft, says that she may keep the gold. The Holy Child will not need earthly power and wealth to build his kingdom. The mother says she has waited all her life for such a king and asks the visitors to take the gold back. She wishes to send a gift, but has nothing to present. Amal has only his crutch to give to the child, and offering it to the kings, he finds his leg miraculously healed. With permission from his mother, Amal leaves with the kings to see the child and to give his crutch in thanks for being restored to full health. Menotti's opera, inspired by the painting The Adoration of the Magi by Hieronymus Bosch, was the first opera to have been written expressly for television. Since that production, the original one in 1951, Amal has become a standard in the opera repertory. Now here at Trinity, we do have our own reminder of the adoration scene. And there it is, over there, in all its glory. The window was dedicated in 1912 to the memory of the Reverend John M. Garfield, his wife Nancy Lyon Garfield, and Harriet Clark Garfield, whom I take to be their daughter-in-law. I think the window was given actually by Nathaniel, who was probably the son of John and Nancy. The window, of course, is also found a picture of it in on our Sunday morning leaflet, albeit in black and white. Now, the window version that we have is less elaborate by quite a bit than that of Bosch. The kings face the mother and child, proffering gifts that we take to be gold, incense, and myrrh, the traditional gifts of the Magi. I don't know about you, but I'm struck by the image of Mary's face, with an expression conveying dignity and respect, but also her awareness of a foreboding future, still hidden from view, but to be revealed in God's time. In addition to the mother and child and the three kings, John the Baptist was often portrayed in adoration scenes. Born shortly before Jesus, the infant John, in many paintings, holds a staff with a small cross on the top, surely another important symbol. And the infant John is seen blessing Jesus. Along with the death of her own son, Mary's somber expression may also be anticipating John's execution, as set forth in St. Mark's Gospel, as we heard this morning. Now, our window moves us backward and forward to the season of Epiphany, those weeks in the church year when we find the birth of Jesus unveiled, revealed in all its potential fullness. The gifts of the Magi manifest their recognition of a new kind of kingship, unlike any known before or since. In Menotti's version, Caspar's open box reveals simple, but to him essential things, not gold, but magic stones, beads, and licorice, to a child perhaps more attractive than gold. So with each Epiphany season, we may seek new meaning in the old story of the birth, with gifts of love revealing new opportunities for self-understanding and shared affection. Trinity's window, produced by the Tiffany studio using opalescent glass, conveys the essential message of the Epiphany, the recognition by the world's wealthy and powerful that this birth has changed the God-human relationship forever. The story of the Magi, drawing on a prophecy in Isaiah, bristles with contrasts and paradoxes. The imagery of light and darkness, life and death, weakness and strength, poverty and riches, insiders, outsiders, mystery and revelation, receiving and losing. Gold symbolized royalty and incense worship. But why myrrh, so closely associated with the burial of the dead? What is the relationship between receiving and losing? At funerals, we may hear that the Lord both gives and takes away. But the God who gives life so generously doesn't seem to fit with a God who cuts it off, like the fates arbitrarily snipping the string of life. The Gospels suggest a different theology, that God created and creates a universe where giving and losing, light and darkness, are in constant interplay and require their opposite in order to be understood. In such a universe, loss and separation are natural consequences of acquiring and receiving. The gift of myrrh suggests the ultimate loss that humankind will experience, even of the child lying with such astonishing promise in the hay. The Magi can head off death by avoiding Herod and going home a different way. You and I can look for alternative routes as well, and thanks to the geniuses of medical science, some of those exist. Just as death naturally follows life, loss remains a natural consequence of receiving. We don't need to spend anxious moments moping about this fact. The third king's gift indicates that inherent in the very presentation of this royal infant whom we worship is the loss of him. So it behooves us as Christians to think about the span of the seasons, starting with Epiphany through to Good Friday and certainly beyond. After recognizing the Christ as God incarnate, we ask during Lent about how to make ourselves worthy of such a gift. On Good Friday, we grieve over the loss of this one we love. Like him, we are acquainted with grief. But if the story had ended there, if myrrh had been the ultimate symbol, our lives would be immeasurably diminished. For the resurrection turned loss on its head. Loss became a gift. In death is new life. Out of darkness, new light shines. This is the Bible's story, that the God who gave life keeps giving it. We experience this gift each time we worship. Out of the darkness of our confession shines the light of forgiveness and redemption. In the midst of the transitory nature of existence, we receive the gift of the life-affirming Eucharist. Epiphany reveals that inherent in this infant God is our salvation. His saving grace allows us to throw off the fear of loss and receive the gift of new life, a life that has no end. Amen.